Hello everyone and welcome to Slipjoint Sawyer. Today we're taking a look at two buck knives, both of which are the 303 Cadet, which is their sort of medium-sized Stockman. Now of course the early ones were made by Camillus, and even earlier than that I'm pretty sure they were made by Schrade, I could be wrong. And then obviously the newer ones are made in-house by Buck. I just thought we'd take a quick rundown of the two we have here. Now I did do a very similar video maybe about a year ago where I compared the Camillus one to the Chinese-made 373, but I very recently picked up, well I say recently, it's probably about, it might be 4 months ago, I picked this up off Bladebridge Customs with a snapped main blade. It went off to Texas, to John. He then sent it off to Buck, and I had the blade replaced and a little sort of spar treatment on it, and they did an absolutely cracking job. So we're going to sort of look at the spar treatment as well as the comparison between the two different manufacturers of the same knife. But we'll start off with the Camillus one to start with. So right off the bat, you can see we've got a brass center pin here holding the springs together. We've got beautiful brass liners with carbon steel springs. You can see that beautiful patina on there as well. Nickel silver bolsters and pins on either end, and the standard three-bladed Stockman design. We have the anvil, sorry, not the anvil, we have the bolt with the hammer hitting the knife through the bolt on the shield here. And without any sort of real need to open the knife or even investigate any further, you can quite obviously tell it's Camillus-made by the very characteristics here, which is the long pull and the swedge on one half of the blade. Now, the Camillus-made 303 is just shy of 3.5 inches closed. What would you say that? No, probably more like 3.25 inches closed. And then the Buck-made 303 is ever so slightly longer, but I mean it's barely anything in it. And take a look at the main blade on this one. So you can see we have Buck 303 USA, and of course this was before Buck started making them, so of course there's no date code on these, but you can date it to pre-86. I want to say is 86 is when Buck started doing them in-house. So before 86, this one's in fantastic shape. Nice little edge on there, that beautiful long pull and the swedge. And look at that blade there, isn't that just a beautiful clip point? And with the whole knife only being 3.25, this is obviously going to be a UK legal blade with a 2.5 full blade and just shy of 2.25 inch on the cutting edge. Nice action on the blade. Nice little sheep's foot on here as well. Do a quick size check on that. Just over 2 3/4, and then a cutting edge of just about 2.5. And then of course you have the spay blade on there as well. And we'll do a quick size check of that. 2 3/4 and 2.5, so the same as the sheep's foot. So it's going to be very much the same on the one made in-house by Buck, but we're just going to do a comparison of the sort of the blade shapes and the differences in the knife. So the first one you'll notice off the bat is the design of the clip point. So this is a very different clip as what you would normally see on a Buck. Because when I say that, the clip point on the 112 and the 110 is very upswept like this one, whereas this is quite muted with the slant on there. But it is very esque of the 301 Stockman as well. And honestly, I think this clip is absolutely beautiful. And look at the hollow grind on that. Wonderful edge on it. And I believe they put a 2010 blade on for me. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's what I think that date code is off the top of my head. But you can see you've got that flattened portion there into the hollow grind and into the beautiful edge. And as of course, from Buck, it's wonderfully sharpened as well. And honestly, you would never know this knife was taken apart and redone based on the quality they've done. It's fantastic. Of course, you've got the black Velox. You've got the knife going through the bolt with the hammer again. Again, that's slightly different to the one on the Camillus. You can see there it's much larger on the Buck. And the knife's, honestly, I'd say the knife looks a little better on the Camillus one, if I'm honest. It looks quite, I don't know, just looks like it's a bit blobby down here at the bottom. Differences in the tang stamp as well. You can see the Camillus one is sort of black inside the stamp, whereas the Buck is clean inside. But apart from that, very similar, just the letters are a bit stretched out on the Camillus, but 303, different font, date code of course, and then USA at the bottom. Now the biggest difference between these two, Camillus, 2 springs, double linered this side, so they're able to cant the blades without any rub, and the Buck version has 3 springs, so each blade has its own spring, but they've done it in such a way without liners that there is no real difference in the thickness of the knife. If anything, I would say the Buck-made one is slightly thinner than the Camillus. So you can take a look there, so you can see the blades are dead straight. There's no sort of canting on the blades. And from what I can tell, they're very close, but I don't think there's any rub. 3 blades on there, and the sheep's foot is given the middle spring, middle blade, because that was designed to be the most working blade on this. Same with the 301. Whereas on the Camillus one, you can see the sheep's foot comes up on the main end, as opposed to the spay on the Buck-made one, which you can see just up here, comes off on the main blade. So, differences between the sheep's foot blades. A lot more sort of belly on the Camillus one. This one has been sharpened. This is the original blade here, but you can see plenty of life left in it. Nice snap on both of these. A little bit better action, I will say, on the Camillus, a bit snappier. Lighter on the pulls and the snap on the Buck-made one. And then the spay blades. The Camillus one is definitely more spay looking, whereas the Buck one is more like a pen blade. But you do have that characteristic of the hump down original here, and then the drop here to make it a spay. Whereas on the Camillus one, you can see it's quite rounded, and then it's a very sudden drop off at the end here. Overall, 2 fantastic knives. I'm really happy to have both these in my collection. For the longest time, I wanted to have an example of the Camillus-made one and an example of the Buck-made one, both of which are fantastic. Do I love them any more from each other? Not at all. I'm not entirely sure what the steel was that Camillus used. I think it's probably like a 440C or something, might even be 420. And then, of course, this one being after 92 is the 420HC. Beautiful action, beautiful knives. I really enjoy carrying both of these. But I hope you enjoyed my comparison of the both USA made, one by Camillus and one in-house by Buck, of the 303 Cadet. If you enjoyed this, please be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.